Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last meeting of the second season of Eumans, meaning that in 1 week time, we will be in Gdansk, Poland, for the second official Eumans Congress, which is, as you already know, probably by the many emails and previous meetings, is going to be included in a broader program that we called Citizen Summit, Democracy, Ecology and Liberty Beyond Borders, a pan-European government proposal for the European Union. For those of you who have followed the previous weeks, you know that we already had a lot more thematic meetings with the aim of building the transnational network that is necessary to put in place the project that the last Eumans Assembly identified as the one to work on, which is a synchronization of European citizen initiatives bound together by this vision of a more democratic, ecological and free European Union through the activation of instruments of participatory democracy, and to try to, through this methodology and vision, to prepare the way for the 2024, which is the year of the next European elections, as well as the start of the new European Commission. We thought it was important still to have a meeting ahead of the Congress to take some time to talk about Eumans as a movement, not necessarily or not only in a self-reflective way of the year that we lived together in 2022, 2023, but more in light of the coming Congress. So the meeting of tonight is an opportunity to discuss ahead of the Citizen Summit and the Congress parts of the 3 days that are going to be in Gdansk and online in English, Polish and Italian, to identify together maybe already what could be our vision and execution for 2023 and 2024. In terms of political ideas, somehow the work that we are doing in these weeks is already the preparation of next year. So the implementation of this strategy of synchronizing European citizen initiatives in both terms, the activation of the official instrument of participation of the European Union, where it is possible to start European citizen initiatives, or European citizen initiatives in a more generic sense, so sort of seeds of activation of groups of European citizens or grassroots organizations or other entities to campaign and activate transnationally with the goal of impacting the decision-making process of the European Union. We have some more technical materials that Lorenzo prepared ahead of the Congress in terms of the rule of the works, the order of the works and what it means to take part in the Congress, but I think it's worth to start with a bit of evaluation on what we think it worked and we think what could have worked better in the past year of Eumans. In my opinion, we were able to really raise the bar of our initiative in terms of transnationality, which was one of the most important things for us as a movement. Maybe this is still not visible enough in Eumans as such, in terms of membership and in terms of participation to the life of the movement as it is, but I think it's true in terms of our role in the European civil society, in the more civic part of the European civil society and other forms of actions. I think we had a prominent role, for example, when it came to the Ukraine war, in particular with our demands on the role of on the accession of Ukraine in the European Union. It's important to remember that we were able to organize a mobilization in 14 European cities back in May, alongside the Ukrainian community with this specific demand. And also I think this tiring but important work that we're doing in the past weeks on the specific topics of the pan-European government proposal, so the environmental part, the civil rights, particularly when it comes to cannabis and euthanasia, but not only, as well as the work with the unconditional basic income network, for example, are, I think, and the migration, which is a new thing for Eumans, where we're going to have a meeting on Monday on this specific topic. So I think these seeds of actions, interactions with other groups that have a similar mindset of us, of combining the political demands with the necessity of activating democracy, is an important conquer of Eumans. Statutory speaking, last year we had an amendment on our statute to have a board, so not only the two co-presidents, so we moved from a situation where we had the president, Marco Cappato, and the coordinator, myself, to a situation where now we have two co-presidents, plus the Eumans board, which was mainly used as a consultative body, I would say, for our activities. And I think it was very important for Marco and myself to have a sort of a space of reflection on the initiative that helped quite a lot to keep the direction more clear in terms of what we're doing. There was another addition to the statute that it was, I would say, implemented in an alternative way. It was the idea of starting a database for organizing sortition-based citizen assemblies within Eumans. I think we worked quite a lot on sortition-based citizen assemblies, but in alternative ways. So we don't have yet such a database, but we did an assembly with sortition-based citizens in Brussels on a topic that is very important for all of us, which is the end-of-life decisions topic, which I think give us an experimentation of a process run by ourselves. And at the same time, we scaled up quite a lot, also because this is also happening politically around us on the sortition-based citizen assemblies. We have seen this year the second citizen assembly organized by France, called by President Macron, particularly end-of-life decisions. We did quite a lot of work with Citizens Take Over Europe on a blueprint for a European Citizen Assembly. So both what we did and what happened around us, together with the conclusion of the Conference on the Future of Europe, I think proves that it was important to invest and experiment with this specific methodology. But it's true that we didn't deliver on trying to build our own database for sortition-based citizen assemblies. The third important point that I want to report is the increase of our fundraising capabilities in the last year. I mean, we are not yet sustainable and not yet with enough resources to pay more staff to work on our initiatives. So effectively, Eumans is more or less a movement of volunteers plus a few dedicated resources. But it's important to report that even if the numbers of members is more or less the same of 2022, we were onboarded in the first European funded project, which is the one on trans-European assemblies, the one that we did in Brussels, the one that we will do in Italy in October, and also part of the program of the Gdansk summit is a European assembly organized by our partner European Alternatives in this project. So somehow the resources that generated by the project are helping us to run some of our key initiatives. And the second area of fundraising that went really well is everything that is related to democracy, particularly in Italy for the initiatives that we did, thanks to the strong commitment of Lorenzo, in particular on the digitalization of democracy and in particular the digital signature. Through that initiative, more or less, we fundraised around 40,000 euros, mainly used for the judiciary activities as a follow-up of our action of not compliance with the law back in the summer, with the self-organization of the list Referendum and Democrazia, but also in general, that is a database of contacts and people that is very prompt to contribute to our action. So this is not yet being transformed into membership of Eumans. And on the other side, I would say that this year confirmed the nature of Eumans as a fluid entity in the public sphere, where not necessarily the number of members reflects the impact that we have in our interactions in the European public sphere and with our partners. I'm not saying that we should remove the concept of membership, but I think we should think about what membership means in the light of this approach that necessarily needs to be nimble, because not all the demands and political goals can be carried on in the same way. So, for example, just to mention some political factors, when we started the network for an ECI, an European Citizen Initiative on abortion, the time are not matured for that. So maybe in Citizen Summit, we will discuss more other types of campaigning, whilst, for example, the work that we're doing on the cannabis legalization efforts might lead to a European Citizen Initiative. And for example, one Irish member of the group around the cannabis legalization decided to become a Eumans member. So, I mean, there are different situations, different scenarios, different contexts. Europe is not one thing. European people are not one thing, and campaigners are not the same. Without going into any more details, I would say let's maybe open the mic and using the interpreters as much as possible so that everyone can have a say to discuss a bit what the movement might need to be stronger next year, which reforms, if we see any, we envision, or which points of attention we should have. And I don't know, maybe Marco, if you want to integrate a little bit, and we go from there. And then in the second part of the meeting, we look more at the planning of the Congress with the documents that Lorenzo prepared.
Sì. Thank you, Virginia. I will speak in Italian also to switch a little bit with the interpretation, and I thank very much the interpreters. Quindi aggiungo una postilla in italiano perché penso che la introduzione di Virginia abbia fotografato molto bene la situazione, non solo, ma anche le possibili evoluzioni. Quindi mi limito a sottolineare degli aspetti. Naturalmente Eumans è un progetto, quando si dice movimento paneuropeo di iniziativa popolare, è chiaro che prima di essere davvero un movimento paneuropeo, che significa avere persone in tutta Europa che lavorano insieme su una causa comune, visto che l'idea è venuta a un gruppo di italiane e di italiani, è un percorso. Quindi è importante mantenere quella dizione, quella formula, perché la rivendicazione di una diciamo identità e al tempo stesso di un obiettivo, cioè diventare un movimento realmente nei fatti paneuropeo e di iniziativa popolare, non lo si realizza dalla sera alla mattina. E quali sono le componenti fondamentali per andare in quella direzione? A mio avviso sono quella di un progetto politico, di una strategia, di regole che siano diciamo adeguate alla natura del soggetto che si vuole fare vivere, e poi anche iniziative che consentano di comunicare alle persone, a un grande pubblico europeo. Penso che ad oggi il nostro problema o il nostro ostacolo non siano realmente le regole, che si possono certamente aggiustare, ma non vedo come dire, qualcosa di significativo che non abbia funzionato dal punto di vista delle regole. Dobbiamo probabilmente ancora di più attivare gli strumenti che abbiamo individuato, però non credo che ci sia un reale problema di regole. In termini di, come dire, di strategia e di progetto politico, abbiamo individuato l'idea del pacchetto di iniziative dei cittadini europei. E su questo è convocato il congresso di Danzica, un congresso che vive in una forma strana, ibrida. In parte c'è il congresso di Eumans in quanto tale formalmente, in parte è un citizen summit, è qualcosa di più ampio nel quale stiamo cercando di coinvolgere altre organizzazioni e reti non necessariamente appartenenti a Eumans o iscritti a Eumans, ma che siano collegate da degli obiettivi. E attraverso questo metodo la nostra speranza è che già adesso il congresso di Danzica e il Citizen Summit siano qualcosa che assomiglia di più a una reale occasione di dibattito e di iniziativa politica a livello paneuropeo. E quindi in termini di, come dire, strategia, il pacchetto di iniziative dei cittadini europei e la verifica delle eventuali condizioni di presenza a elezioni europee, non in quanto Eumans, ma per portare avanti quegli obiettivi, mi sembra che anche quell'aspetto sia tracciato, disegnato. Poi dovremo vedere a Danzica che cosa avremo raccolto di quello che stiamo seminando in queste settimane. Poi c'è un terzo punto che è un punto molto, molto difficile e che chiama in causa tutti, e che è quello della iniziativa. Virginia e io stesso, come alcuni di voi sanno, potremmo dover affrontare nei prossimi mesi dei procedimenti giudiziari con anche il rischio di pene detentive significative sul tema dell'eutanasia. Ecco, rendere transnazionale questa azione, cioè con cittadini di altri paesi che realizzano la disobbedienza civile nell'accompagnare delle persone in Svizzera, ad esempio, sull'ottenimento dell'aiuto alla morte volontaria, potrebbe essere l'esempio di una iniziativa su un tema specifico realizzata con un respiro, una dimensione paneuropea. Un tempo c'era, anche adesso non so esattamente a che punto siano, a proposito del tema dell'aborto, Women on Waves, una barca che andava con personale specializzato a praticare aborti al largo delle coste dei paesi dove non era l'aborto legale, in acque però extraterritoriali, in qualche modo realizzando quindi delle incursioni transnazionali per andare a denunciare una proibizione che colpiva i cittadini. Ho fatto due esempi, se ne potrebbero ovviamente fare altri, però questo è un aspetto sul quale sarebbe importante, è importante lavorare e farsi venire delle idee che dovremmo collegare al pacchetto ICE, cioè per ognuno di questi obiettivi che abbiamo messo sul tavolo con queste bozze di testi di iniziative dei cittadini europei. Il problema non è solo raccogliere firme, ma anche raccogliere idee e disponibilità di iniziative, incursioni, anche incursioni non violente di disobbedienza civile, per riuscire a comunicare, a esprimere l'urgenza di un obiettivo con modalità e strumenti appunto non solo italiani o italofoni, ma di dimensioni transnazionali. Questo è un aspetto importante. Io credo che, finisco col dire questo, manca ancora naturalmente, come dire, un popolo europeo nel dibattito politico, e una barriera enorme è la barriera linguistica. Teniamo presente che quello che sta accadendo con la rivoluzione dell'intelligenza artificiale è che nel giro di un anno è cambiato il mondo sulla qualità, no, della possibilità di tradurre o comunque di fare comprendere dei testi, no, a delle persone anche che non parlano le lingue. Quindi da un certo punto di vista la barriera linguistica è di meno un ostacolo di quanto non fosse di quanto non fosse qualche anno fa. Rimangono delle barriere giuridiche enormi. Per esempio, in assenza di uno statuto europeo di associazione, noi, per esempio, continuiamo a dover essere un'associazione di diritto italiano e quindi, esempio banale, per esempio, quando si fa la promozione di contenuti su Facebook, le regole impediscono di fare promozione di contenuti politici in altri paesi, perché né Facebook né il diritto europeo contemplano la possibilità di un soggetto no profit politico, di iniziativa politica, che non sia, diciamo, riferibile solo a una situazione nazionale, ma che abbia un'ambizione paneuropea. E quindi, mentre alcune barriere linguistiche, almeno in parte, riusciamo a farle cadere o comunque a superarle, anche con il contributo preziosissimo, volontario degli interpreti che ci danno una mano alle nostre riunioni, le barriere legali e burocratiche sono ancora delle barriere degli ostacoli molto significativi che ci confermano sul fatto che l'obiettivo tendenziale di un movimento realmente paneuropeo è qualcosa che si costruisce negli anni. Gli elementi che ha fornito Virginia all'inizio ci aiutano a comprendere e a ricordarci che dei passi avanti sono stati fatti. A volte noi stessi magari possiamo non averli nemmeno troppo presenti e quindi non riuscire a valorizzarli come sarebbe necessario, però un percorso è stato compiuto, non siamo più all'anno zero, e quindi credo che sia un percorso da proseguire. Ciò non significa che tutto perfetto e basta andare avanti a fare quello che facciamo, soprattutto in termini di iniziative che parlino alle persone, al popolo europeo. Credo che ci sia ancora molto da lavorare in termini proprio di fantasia, di immaginazione delle azioni possibili. Grazie.
Thank you, Marco. I will give the floor to Flavia Pansieri, and raise your hand or write in the chat if you want to say something. And really, in this phase, all comments are very precious, so please don't be shy. Flavia.
Okay, no, I won't be shy. And since I tend to probably be less confused when I speak in English, I'll use English rather than Italian. You will remember, those of you who were in Warsaw, that one of my biggest concerns at that first Congress was indeed the issue of transnationality, because it looked to me like it was an Italo-Italian outfit that had a few almost token participants from elsewhere. So my first comment is to say, I've seen this year considerable efforts in trying to expand the national representation, the participation beyond the Italian confines. And I think this is very positive. I'm very pleased to have seen it. Obviously, it's no way near enough, but clearly it's the way to go. If we want to be a pan-European movement, obviously we have to include all the European members. And from that point of view, I confess this is just indication of my utter ignorance, that I was shocked hearing Marco talking about the fact that because Eumans is not a European recognized and registered outfit, but it is linked to the Italian legislation, it doesn't have the breadth in the presence and the legislative coverage that being really European would give it, which I would suspect is also an issue that has an impact on resources mobilization, because if we can, as Italians, make a contribution to human get it recognized in the taxes, someone from other countries presumably cannot. So it's not just a legal, it's also a financial issue, and I think
Flavia,
it's something that we, yes.
Let me specify on that. It is not that we didn't do it it doesn't exist a legal statute.
I know.
Okay, so sorry. I wanted to be
sorry,
sure that
I might not have been clear. I was not saying it hasn't been done. I was shocked that the European Union still doesn't have a legislative framework, being a pan-European outfit itself, to allow a non-governmental organization to mirror, in a sense, the statutory setup that it has by allowing an organization to also be pan-European. It seems, I didn't know it because I never thought this would be an issue. So I think this will be definitely an issue we'll have to think what could we do to address, because it will be a limiting element on the growth possibility of the movement. That being said, I think there's been positive step forwards in terms of expanding beyond Italy. And there's been also a very positive, to my mind, attempt to build partnerships independent from being or not being Eumans members, which again, perhaps could help us overcome initially, at least, this legal problem that we have with where the organization is seen as being registered. One more comment. I have just seen today a UN, well, I get all these UN updates, the Commission on Narcotic Drugs, which last year seemed to be prepared to open up to a distinction between hard drugs and cannabis by having taken cannabis out of Schedule 4, has now come up with a report, a statement, I'll have to go back to what I just read, that lumps everything together and says, oh, cannabis has terrible health consequences. So it seems to me that it is a retrenchment over what appeared last year to be the beginning of an opening, if not an opening altogether. I think that is an element for the future we'll need to take into account, because it may call for a more intentionally targeted strategy if, instead of being not against, even if not totally in favor of what we are saying, now they take a much more reactionary, frankly, position. On the, so I agree also, Marco, with what you say about making end-of-life decisions a transnational issue. And I think there is a discussion going on right now in France. So that's something that we will have to link with. And I was also reading of this enormous success that this initiative had on, it's a European citizen initiative on banning furs and the growing of animals for making furs. So this apparently was so successful, they got their 1.5 million signatures in half the time that was available. So maybe it would be interesting to see, what is it that made them so successful? Is it the issue itself, or are the systems they used to bring that result about? And that's perhaps also another element that we may want to think about as we prepare and as we go to Gdansk. That being said, I continue to think that working at going beyond Italy at the European level to try to get from partners in other countries greater strength in what we are doing in Italy and what is being done and will be done in Europe is absolutely the way to go. So congratulations, and we'll see you in Gdansk. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Flavia. Thanks a lot. On the UN decisions that you mentioned, if you can forward me and Marco Perduca the link, because we're just working on finalizing the European Citizen Initiative, and it will be a good reference to keep in mind. And thanks also to pointing out some priorities, for example, the European statute thing, which could be one of the more legal priorities for next year, but also something very much needed, and the end-of-life initiative. Please feel free to raise your hand or write in the chat. As I was saying, all the comments are precious. The perspective, the perception of humans that you got the activities that you liked, the approach. So everything is very helpful. Lorenzo, I don't know if it's on the order. I mean, it's more on the perfect
general comment.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that this year with the Congress in Gdansk, we are really making progress compared to what we've done last year. And there is an important news that we are putting on the table, and it's the possibility to participate in the next European election in 2024. And I would like to consider that this is the real news, I think, and the tricky challenge that we are facing, because it could be easily perceived as a contradiction in respect of what we said until now. We always had in our analysis this criticism regarding, for instance, electoral democracy and all the weaknesses that we know about it, the fact that elections are considered nowadays as a market. And so we have to build new forms of participation in democracy, otherwise we won't find solutions for contemporary challenges. But I think that if we are able to find a good narrative since the beginning of the Gdansk Congress, this won't be perceived as a contradiction, criticizing electoral democracy and announcing a participation to elections. And the challenge is to explain this participatory process we are opening with Gdansk, and the fact that we are not just announcing a candidacy to next elections, but we want to build a path with every citizen interested in being involved in this package of European Citizen Initiative, and also with every party of European organization would like to come on board, because this is also the peculiarity, I think, of our proposal. We are using this package as an offer to every other European party, every other European organization, an offer that could be also part of an electoral problem for next European election. So if we are able to enter in the discussion on European elections, it's probably quite soon to have this debate open in the public sphere, but if we are able to underline that in this moment we are opening this participatory process also with a view with election, but this is the premise, and this is the different approach that we are building. I think we won't be perceived as contradictory. And plus this, I think the key element is also to include in every CI this sentence about opening a European Citizen Assembly on the specific issue we are proposing. This is very important because we always said that electoral democracy and deliberative democracy are not in contradiction. They need we need both of those. And the way we are proposing this package, putting together participatory instruments such as the European Citizens Initiative, deliberative instruments such as the citizen assemblies, and electoral instrument, I think this is the key, and what could be perceived as new in the political panorama in Europe. So I think we really need to use this element as our strengthness.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Sofia Viviani.
Should I go with Italian or English? You tell me.
As you prefer.
Va bene, vado in italiano. Spero che mi sentite perché c'è un po' di casino qua. Mi sentite? Ok, ottimo. Allora, intanto ciao a tutti, io sono Sofia Viviani, sto facendo un tirocinio con Virginia a Eumans. una riflessione che un po' mi è venuta in mente preparando Danzica, quindi in queste settimane qua in cui cerchiamo di mettere insieme più associazioni, costruire, insomma, più che costruire, rafforzare il network sui nostri temi, è che potrebbe essere un'idea e potrebbe essere utile per l'associazione prendersi un po' quel ruolo di comunque essere vicini all'attivismo, perché le altre associazioni sono prettamente di attivismo, ma allo stesso tempo con l'expertise che c'è nell'associazione, nel contatto con le istituzioni. Per esempio su queste ICE è abbastanza evidente che noi abbiamo un po' una marcia in più su come muoverci, come è anche organizzata l'associazione, quali step prendere per arrivare all'obiettivo, eccetera. Quindi questo doppio ruolo che si ha molto spesso nel dialogare con le altre associazioni va un attimo, non so come dire, rafforzato nel senso di messo ancora più in evidenza. Cioè è un valore aggiunto, un po' una marcia in più che abbiamo e potrebbe essere d'aiuto non solo per noi, ma anche per la battaglia in sé quando ci mettiamo in relazione con le altre situazioni, per questa doppia identità. Quindi lavorare su quella cosa lì potrebbe portare dei buoni risultati. Detto ciò, basta, cioè, questa è l'unica cosa che mi sento di dire, anche perché sono con voi da poco, però non, diciamo, nella mia esperienza non tantissime associazioni possono avere questo doppio ruolo. Quindi se c'è, secondo me, usarlo può essere qualcosa di importante.
Grazie Sofia, thank you. Okay, any other comment, idea, feedback, consideration that we should have in mind before going to Gdansk? Or otherwise, maybe Lorenzo can share the screen and walk us through the moments of the summit where there is going to be Eumans moments and what could be the functioning of the specific parts of the Congress. And we have a bit of discussion on that. But first, please raise your hand or write in the chat if you want to add something or more generic consideration. Okay, so Lorenzo is gonna walk us through the specific parts of the summit that are gonna be focused on the Eumans as such.
Okay, let me put in the chat the order of the works and the rule of procedure. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna put the camera off because I have some problem with the camera. Anyway, I don't think it's appropriate here to go that much into details. I will share the screen and tell you the most relevant parts of rules of procedures and order of the work. I don't think we should read the old rules here, but tell me if you think so. Anyway, I will share the screen. Let me see. Okay, I see. Okay, it takes a minute. Anyway, basically the order of the works relevant parts are the moments in which we will have to vote for okay, Eugene, apparently you should allow me to share the screen.
Yeah, 1 second. Where are you? You are here. Allow to. Well, I make you co-host. This should do. Okay.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Now you should see my screen.
We do.
Okay. So I will go first to the order of the works, and basically the relevant part is here. Tell me if we need anything to correct anything. I put the registration opening half an hour before the opening session, just a formal moment. If we need to register participants, we have half an hour before starting officially the opening session at 2 p.m. as scheduled by Virginia. Then I put at 4:50 p.m. on Friday the opening of the online vote to approve the current rule of procedure and order of business and annual budget. So we will have to present the annual budget of Eumans, and following this, the Congress work begins. Basically, it's something that we could do just after the coffee break that is in between the opening session and the opening of the online vote. And so, and then the first they finish at 6:30 p.m. So we have no more formal voting. On the second day, basically, we have no formal votes because just a discussion and works of the Congress day. And then on Sunday, my proposal is to put a deadline for signing general motions, recommendation, and any proposed change to the statute at 11 a.m. So this is when we start collecting presentation of general motion, recommendation, and any proposed changes to the statute. Here, just a comment. Last year we had 2 days in our Congress. This year we will have 3 days. So I think that a few hours in the last day is enough to open the presentation of changes to the statute, general motion, etc. But if you think that we should do it starting from Saturday, this is okay also. And then the closing of we have, of course, the closing of the presentation and reply on changes on the statute, because general motion, possible recommendation, and nomination. So in case after 1 hour and a quarter, we see that we have some different general motion, some different recommendation, and proposals on changes to the statute. We close the debate on this at 12 and 15 p.m. So this is just a proposal in order to have almost an hour to discuss eventually on those things. And then at 1 p.m. we should have the closing of the online vote and announcement of the results of proceeding. Because so we will have at least we can open the online vote a quarter before 1 p.m. and here we will vote for charges, recommendations, and eventually also, of course, for the general motion, and eventually other nominations. So this is the proposal of order of the works. And regarding the rules of procedure, I don't know if we shall read everything, but I think the most relevant things are about time for speaking. I propose to stay with the 7 minutes for each member, which was the same of last year. Of course, Article 2 remember us who has right to vote, and we consider everyone who has paid his membership or her membership in 2023. And Article 3 is about, of course, participation, submission of documents, those as I was mentioning before in the order of the work, and there are all the technical information to send these documents to Eumans. Then we have the order of business and regulation, and the way the debate around eventual amendments on a statute should work with the time of speech for every proponent. And yes, we also have an order of business and rules of procedure. But I think the most relevant part is this one, Article 6, clarifying the level of signature we need, the amount of signature we need for supporting every proposal. So if we want to present a general motion, if we want to present an amendment, we put last year this amount of 1/5 of the member. The member referred in the first paragraph. So we are talking about, sorry, the fourth paragraph of Article 6. So we are talking about the number of participants in the vote of the rules. 1/5 of participants in the vote to present amendments. So this is basically the proposal. I don't know if it sounds clear to you. And of course, I forgot to say that every vote would be on the Eligo platform, so an online.
Thank you, Lorenzo, for the work, because it's very precious. I think something that we can do also together is to overlap the order of the works with the Citizen Summit program, because otherwise it's a bit, I mean, just to be sure that all the slots that we envisioned in the program of the Citizen Summit as, let's call them Eumans moment, or general debate of the Congress, should be clearly explained also in the order of the works, so that we have moments that is more the movement, what we want to do for humans, blah, 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 as opposed from the reflection on the campaigns and the Citizen Summit work. So I think maybe we could integrate these aspects in the order of the work so that the general debate part is more clear beside the proceedings. And then I think a decision which is practical and political is the reality in Gdansk will be that we will have a lot of people that are there for the Citizen Summit that might not know yet fully, completely about Eumans. In my opinion, we should try to convert these people to Eumans members as the works proceeds. But I don't know if it's important to have a rule on when is the last moment that you can become a Eumans member to vote, etc. It's true that the Congress is in the middle of the year, so it's not that on that day it finishes the fiscal year or the social year of Eumans, but just to be sure that we don't have any misunderstanding on who is a member that can vote, who is not a member. And I think we should work in a way that creates opportunity for membership rather than saying, no, if you didn't register that day, you cannot vote. I think we can dare to be open, but also this I want to hear also Marco what he thinks, but it's very important to have a clear rule on that to avoid superficiality moments or things like that. So how it works for a person that becomes a member with the voting system, or if I become a member after a certain phase is finished in the proceedings. I don't know if it makes sense, but maybe Marco can integrate on that, and please, all of you share if you think it works.
Just Virginia, very quickly, just to be clear, I think that the formula we used last year, so members registered in 2023 who have paid their membership fees are entitled to vote. It's vague enough to understand that even if you pay on the last day, you can vote. I mean, last year, that was the rule we used.
Any other comments. I know it sounds bureaucratic, but it's also the nature of our entity. So if you feel there is something that doesn't sound well, that seems off, share it, because I mean, we are, Luca will kill me, but we're a community, a relatively small community. So let's share if we have concerns. The point on the Congress is not a fight for power, but is creating the most welcoming condition for people to be part of something. So if you have any doubt, that's the point of this meeting, just to share it ahead so we can make it more comfortable.
Virginia?
Vai Camilla.
Virginia, mi senti?
Sì.
Ok, non riesco ad alzare la mano mi vedete?
Vai,
Non riesco ad alzare la mano. Ok, io volevo proporvi, dato che comunque io rappresento, diciamo, qui in Sicilia la cellula Coscioni di Catania, e dato che comunque le tematiche della Coscioni si sposano con Eumans, dato che dicevate che una delle prime problematiche è che non siete riusciti a crescere moltissimo, diciamo dal 2022 al 2023, anche per quanto riguarda la raccolta fondi. Dato che comunque ho in programma veramente tanti eventi, soprattutto come diciamo la mia esperienza per quanto riguarda per esempio una delle problematiche che abbiamo avuto in campagna referendaria sulla firma digitale. Io volendo, se col permesso sia dell'associazione Luca Coscioni sia avviando uno schema di diciamo collaborazione con Eumans, vi posso aiutare per quanto riguarda la sponsorizzazione sia degli eventi sia per quanto mi possa riguardare un'eventuale raccolta fondi per Eumans. E niente, mi sarebbe piaciuto venire a Danzica, ma impossibile, ci ho pensato troppo tardi, e niente, questa è la mia stradisponibilità a partecipare attivamente alle iniziative. Sono le mie iniziative, le iniziative di tutti gli italiani che si sono spesi per tematiche importantissime come l'eutanasia legale, la firma digitale e anche aborto. E soprattutto, ad esempio, sabato c'è anche un evento in cui parteciperà anche Radio Radicale, filmerà tutto del mio tesoriere Giuseppe Brancatelli, che si occuperà di cannabis terapeutica. Ne vogliamo parlare anche nelle scuole italiane, quindi massima disponibilità, ecco, questo è il mio contributo.
Thank you, Camilla. I speak in English, but you understand, but so for everyone, thank you. I think it's important in Italy to foster the collaboration between the cellule and Eumans. We had some very good experiments. Lorenzo hates me, but the Basilicata case is quite interesting. We helped the cellula in Matera to organize an event to focus on the improvements of democracy that are needed for better initiatives. So, for example, we had a local motion on digital democracy advancements that is developed through Eumans thanks to the Cellula Basilicata network. So in general, we're super happy whatever you can do to combine the groups, maybe also to organize initiatives. And of course, the European cities, maybe Marco can say more, but if some of these European citizen initiative will happen, the cannabis one, the end of life decision one, for sure is going to be a great opportunity for the better connection and activities of the cellule at a local level. So thanks for whatever you can do, basically. Okay. Any other more comments on the works? Let's consider, I say it for all of us, that the major part of our members will not be physically in Gdansk, in the sense that, I mean, some are traveling, but a lot of our members, and when I say members, I mean like formally registered members, are going to mainly follow online. So maybe this is a note of caution for me and Lorenzo, but also maybe we can work with someone of the board to make sure that we inform the members about the Congress part with a bit more attention than what we would do if it was only the Congress of Eumans, to make sure that it's clear that There are the works of the summit, there are moments of general debate where the members can speak as members. I think this partnership needs to be crafted carefully because our members physically will not be in Gdansk. So a lot of them. Maybe we have the new members that we will onboard in Gdansk, but we need a sort of a dedicated channel of communication for the members, I think, on the moments that are more institutional within the 3 days. Just a note for all of us, but I think it's something to keep in mind.
Posso prendere un attimo la parola? Allora, non vorrei risultare inappropriata perché non è una cosa inerente propriamente al congresso di Danzica, e anzi mi dispiace molto ma non posso essere presente, comunque seguirò online. Volevo chiedere, per quanto riguardava anche la tematica che abbiamo discusso l'ultima volta, quindi parlando dell'indirizzario e di tutti i contatti che stiamo cercando di creare per creare quindi quel 1 milione di firme che ci servirà prossimamente, avete un iter per la comunicazione o qualcosa? Perché mi è capitato oggi e nei giorni passati di parlare con delle figure anche politiche che sono stata invitata sabato a parlare anche delle iniziative europee a studenti, così, giusto per iniziare anche a far conoscere questo strumento europeo. Magari non saranno dei ragazzi maggiorenni, quindi tra di loro, vabbè, quelli che fanno la quinta superiore forse potranno firmare, ma quelli più piccolini no. Ad ogni modo penso che sia importante raccontarlo anche loro. E poi, sì, e ieri mi sono scontrata fisicamente con il sindaco di Bolzano, il quale sapevo già che aveva firmato delle cose e delle vostre iniziative in passato, perché è un grande appassionato di sostenibilità, perciò gli ho parlato di questa iniziativa e lui mi diceva appunto di mandare cose, cioè documenti e quant'altro, alla segreteria. Voi avete del materiale già pronto, oppure anche a questo evento ci sono delle cose che voi vorreste che io porti in primo piano, oppure mi date libero campo?
Allora, dipende da iniziativa, it depends for initiative from initiative. So for some initiatives, we already have a sort of a leading coordination team, like sustainability. Andrea Salimbeni is your man. I don't know if you already met him or not, but we can connect.
Andrea, sì.
Yeah. So if it's about sustainability, I think this is where we're stronger in terms of understanding who is in the network, what to do, etc., etc. For other initiatives, we're still in the creation of the thing phase. So if it's about support or potential support, you can always tell us this person might be interested in this campaign. One of the things that we're going to work more after Gdansk is how to have sort of procedures that are not too tight to kill us, but that make something smoother, because it's a bit of a mess at this stage, I have to say. So the best is to send an email and ask for what you need on the contacts and materials. But for the sustainability field, Andrea is well suited. So we have the draft of the European Citizen Initiative text. And this type of material. So for that, we are already in the position of sharing, etc. In general, for everyone, everything that is on the website is public. So the links to the draft text of the ACIs and so forth and so on, it's there because it's meant to be shared, circulated, and distributed.
Okay, great. Because since the event is focused on sustainability, I will just take contact with Andrea.
Yeah, that's the quickest way.
Yeah.
At the moment, we are human intelligence more than artificial intelligence based, and we will reach the artificial intelligence phase one day.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicola, guardiamo la mail. Ti rispondiamo in the chat. Okay, I think we had a record of meetings in the past month and a half. Never had so many meetings in my life. So there will not be the Eumans meeting next Thursday because we are going to be in Gdansk and then we're going to be online and offline for 3 days. So no Eumans meeting next Thursday. Feel free to contact us for further reflections. But the most important thing in this phase is to make Gdansk known. I'm going to share here in the chat the link with the drive that contains the communication materials available. There are some draft letters, templates, as well as the visual content. So since it's going to be possible to follow online, feel free to circulate it also for the online following. But if you have some spare time and you want to try to help us to get more local organizations in Poland and in the neighboring country, that's also a good idea. Even if we already contacted them, eventually they will get the contact twice. But if you are part of networks, you are aware of networks, groups, interested in the different topics, this is really the last chance to make Gdansk great again, a success. So let me share with you the link so we leave with something practical to do.
I'm running to a train, so ciao ciao.
Ciao Marco, thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.
So I'm just looking for the link and freaking out here, but here is the link with all the materials. To reply to Nicola, yes, if you register on the website for the Gdansk, you will have all the information to follow also online as soon as it's going to be ready. So just register and get people registered. Paola?
Ho sbagliato ora a collegarmi, scusatemi, la recupererò registrata.
I admit there was a dyscalculic mistake by Virginia. So in some places were 6, in other places were 7. And so that's why you missed it, because there were mistakes.
Sì. Poi io ho fatto affidamento a Google Calendar perché mi schedulo le riunioni di sopra. È andata così. Posso fare 2 parole sulla partecipazione di martedì sera alla manifestazione per la firma digitale, o non è questa la sede?
Vai.
Ma hanno aderito in tanti, quelli con cui di solito collaboriamo per i tavoli, firme, eccetera. Hanno aderito tutti, quindi c'era Più Europa, Radicali, la Lietta, il Movimento 5 Stelle, Sinistra Italiana. Hanno aderito tutte le cellule, ha aderito il comitato promotore del referendum Caccia, che è stato più sfortunato di noi perché già le firme che avevano preso non andavano bene, e quindi l'adesione di quel comitato per la piattaforma è particolarmente importante. La sigla era accreditata anche su Roma, quindi sono molto contenta, è andata bene. Grazie.
Paola, sentiamoci per diciamo, capire le connessioni a livello regionale, a livello italiano, perché molte delle sigle che hai citato poi hanno aderito anche in Italia e quindi, anzi, altre no, e quindi poi è interessante se riusciamo a spingerle.
Io so a cosa fai riferimento, è una cosa a cui ho già lavorato, ma per adesso attendiamo sviluppi. Vediamo come andrà.
Okay, so welcome, Chris. I guess you also had the different time slot, but we started at 6 p.m. set. So we're almost closing the meeting, but if you have something to say, say it.
Hello, everyone. I live in France. Sorry I'm late, but I've been a bit busy. But next time I will be on time.
Thank you, Chris. A pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Grazie.
I hope you have seen the communication around the Gdansk summit. I'm going to share it again. It can be followed also online if you can't come to Gdansk, but I'm going to put the link here in the chat for our next big thing, which is next week.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the discussion on Monday evening about migrants, because I think it's a very important subject to deal with, because I think migrants are having a really rough time of it all, especially in the UK now. I mean, I think we're getting to the point of criminalising people who are victims of torture and all sorts of other factors, which is quite disgusting.
Yeah, actually, thanks for remembering the meeting. I reshared the link for everyone. There are two important meetings on Monday. One is at 6:30 p.m. on migration, which is the one that Chris is referring to. And the other one is at 5 p.m., which is on democracy, on the European Citizen Initiative on Democracy. So full day, and thanks to our interpreters, we're going to have interpretation also in the meetings. So you can join. And again, actually in particular for these meetings, if you have in mind anyone that is focused on one of these two fields, so democratic innovation in the European Union on one side and the need for migration policies in the European Union, humane migration policies in the European Union, feel free to invite anyone that you think can be part of such networks. They're going to be particularly interesting, both of the meetings. So thanks for reminding me, Chris. Okay, so let's call this meeting off. Thanks a lot for your time and inputs. And we'll see you in person in Gdansk or online soon. Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I want to welcome Perduca just to tell him we finished.